Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Tim from Shoot the Chit and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to make this video as an update to the review I did on this Wired Cruiser. And in that video I noted that there was a couple of issues I was having with this bike, and I'm happy to let you guys know I have in fact resolved those issues, and I'll walk you through how I did that in this video. But you know, actually, a big shout out to one of you guys out there, because the resolution to one of the issues came from a comment I received. So shout out to whatever your name is. I'll put that on the screen now. Which brings me to comments. I actually had one comment saying I was in fact promoting criminal behavior by riding this unregulated e-bike on the street. I'm just going to go ahead and run with that. So, which brings me to the topic of next video, which is I'm going to be teaching you guys how to commit tax fraud with a method I've found that hasn't landed me in jail yet. Anyways, guys, let's get right into it. First issue I wanted to talk about was this battery gauge. As you see now, I have 67 volts, which is a full charge for this battery. And previously, it would just have a mind of its own. Sometimes you'd have a full charge, it would say 2 bars, sometimes it'd be 4, sometimes 3, sometimes 1. There's no rhyme or reason, but this battery gauge was completely inaccurate. The fix for this one is quite easy, and this actually fixed 2 issues with one change in the computer. And the other issue was under full throttle, or if I was pedaling in pedal assist 5 using a lot of watts, at a certain point, the speedometer would just freeze up. And I would have to either stop pedaling or get off the throttle, and then the speedometer would immediately update. The change I made that fixed the battery gauge also fixed the speedometer. So it was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But this is a lot easier than killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because I don't know if you've ever tried that. It's really hard to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Best strategy was to find 2 birds that aren't paying attention and drop 1 big stone on top of them. But I digress. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn the computer back on. And to get into the settings, as soon as it's on, you're going to hold the up and down arrows at the same time. And that brings you into the computer settings. The setting that I had to change is, by default, this P5 setting is 16. I changed it to 8. It's because this bike has a Samsung battery pack. To change it, use the arrow keys here. And when you're on the one you want to change, you tap the power button, change it to whatever setting you want. In this case, it's 8. Tap the power button again. And boom, that's it. That's all you have to change. For reference, to unlock the speed on this bike, the very first option here is limiter. By default, it comes set at 28. I don't know what it was set at, but just put that all the way up to the max, which is 72 kilometers an hour, which, you know, I speak American. I don't know how fast that is. Once you're done making your changes, just hold the power button and it'll put you back into the main display area. Here's how you're going to tell which battery cells you have in your battery. Use the keys that came with the bike. Pop out the battery here. And you see here on the side of the battery, it says here, Samsung. So this one has the Samsung cells. I don't have an LG battery pack here, but I'm assuming it's going to say LG on here as well. So verify you have the Samsung battery pack before you make this change. Make sure you put the battery pack back in before you go for a ride, guys. Follow me for more pro tips. The next issue I talked about, and arguably the most annoying issue this bike was having, was the rear brake squealed really bad. It squealed worse than the guy from the Deliverance movies.
Oh, squeal! Squeal!
Every time I pulled up to a stop, it sounded like I was hitting a turkey mating call or something. So it's quite embarrassing. Unfortunately, this fix did cost me about $10, $11 in parts. But fear not, even if you're not very mechanically inclined, this is an extremely simple fix, and that's changing the brake pads on the rear brake here. And I'm going to walk you through changing the brake pads, and the good thing is you can do most of it with the Allen wrench that this bike came with. The only other thing you're going to need is something to pull out a little pull out this metal pin. And I'll show you how to do that now. And for reference, the first time I did this, it took me less than 15 minutes, and I know that because I had something in the air fryer for 15 minutes, and I was done by the time the buzzer went off. What am I, in Congress here? Am I filibustering? I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change those brakes now. I'm going to go ahead and do this with the included Allen wrench that came with this bike. These tools, as you guys are probably well aware, are not the best quality, but just show you how easy it is. So here, this is the rear brake caliper. We're going to be changing the brake pads. In order to do that, there's 2 bolts that hold the caliper to the rear of the bike. So you're going to want to undo these 2 bolts. Once you have these two caliper bolts undone, you can see here, there's the brake pads in there. You get a better view from underneath. But in order to take these brake pads out, there is this little pin that holds the brake pad in there. And this is the only thing you're not going to be able to do with the tools this bike came with. So I just get this little, in this case, a wire cutter. I'm sure there's better tools to do this. Straighten that pin out, and then you can just yank the pin right out. It's very important at this state of the install, do not press the brake lever at all. That'll cause the pistons to push out, and when there's no rotor in there to push any resistance, these will close back together and you'll have to manually push them back apart. That's why these bikes ship with a protector put in there for the front wheel. So this is the new pads here. These are the Tektro E10 11s. The pads that came with this bike are Tektro pads. We can see here the P20 11s. And when I took these off, an amazing amount of brake dust came off with these pads. So I don't know what compound these are made out of. I guess I could Google that, but I'm not trying to do that much work. Maybe you can and put it in the comments. You can also notice, I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up, the side of this pad here, it's chipped off. So something broke part of this pad. But either way, these pads made a lot of noise and they seem to create an excess amount of dust. Put them back in. I'm going to stick these back together like this. Stick it into the brake caliper, and once the hole in the top lines up again, you can reinsert the pin here. And once the pin's back through, you're going to get this tool, bend it so it can't come out on its own. That's it. You've changed your brake pads. Now it's time to reattach the caliper, and to do that, just slide it back over, and you're going to want to snug these bolts up, but don't get them too tight just yet. Here's the tricky part, and it's not tricky. Once you're at this stage, the caliper can still move around. So what you're going to want to do is go up to the front. You're going to hold the rear brake lever with one hand, or have an assistant do it. Hold the rear brake lever, and while holding the lever, then you tighten the caliper bolts down. You want to get these on there pretty tight. I don't know how many Newton meters it's going to require, but I'd say about 1 Ugga Dugga, maybe 2 Ugga Duggas. The last thing you want to do, rotate the tire and verify that it's not rubbing. We have successfully changed the rear brake pad. I'm curious, so I'm going to go ahead and disassemble the front brake and see what kind of pad they put in the front. Because like I said, the front brakes do not make any noise. You know, now that I took this off, I can see in there that the back of this pad is in fact red. So yes, it looks like it is the same pad that came on the back of this bike. So guys, you don't have to take it off after all. Follow me for more tech tips. There you have it. There's an update and resolution of the issues I talked about in my first review video of this bike. Pretty easy. Ended up costing me about 10 or 11 bucks. No problem at all. Now this bike's completely silent when I hit the brakes. And the speedometer works as expected, with an accurate battery gauge to top it all off. But you know, I actually wanted to touch on a few things I feel like I missed in my first review. And one of them was, this bike came with what I first believed to be toenail polish. But it's actually touch-up paint for the frame. And sadly, when you order a bike like this and it's going to be shipped to you through the mail, you're going to kind of have to expect that the box is going to take some damage along the way, because these come in really big boxes. I mean, just me dragging it up the stairs was a chore in itself. So this bike, unfortunately, had some chips in the paint here, and I was able to use this touch-up paint to go over those. So that's nice. I've assembled a few of these bikes, and I've never seen one come with touch-up paint. Another thing is, I didn't talk about the seat. I know a lot of people are very particular about the seat. You know, I didn't particularly care for this seat at first, but it's to the point now where it's fine. You know, any seat has like a break-in period where it's actually breaking in your butt, to be honest. But this seat is fine. For the amount of time I ride this bike at one sitting, this seat's not that bad. So I did get used to it. But you know, a seat's a very individualized thing. If you have a seat brand you like, chances are you're going to put it on whether you give this seat a chance or not. So to me, I think this seat is okay, and it'll be staying on the bike for now. Overall, I really like this bike, guys. So I'm not shilling for this company. I paid money out of my pocket for this bike. This is not a paid review. So right now, I have 327 miles on this bike, and I haven't even had it 3 weeks yet. So, and since I bought this, I haven't had to put any gas in my truck, which is a lot. So I'm guessing within a 2-year period of time, this bike will save me enough money in gas to pay for itself. At this rate, at least, you know, barring the weather changes, you know, when it starts raining and the weather gets too cold, I probably won't be riding it as much. I can't speak for the other brands, but I was very skeptical buying this style of bike, and so far I haven't been disappointed at all. Had a ton of fun with it, and yeah. Anyways, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that. And join us for next video where I'm going to show you how to save hundreds of dollars on your grocery bill by utilizing a little-known exploit in the Walmart self-checkout platform. So you won't want to miss that one, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Look, guys, I'll say whatever you want. Yeah, if you send me one of those new freedoms, look, I'll say this bike got me a new job, this bike cured cancer, whatever you want. No, the sky's the limit, guys. I have no morals at all. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Okay.